In this video, we are going to add some bounciness to our ball so that when it drops down the paddle, it goes boing and returns back up in the air. Something a bit different, I'm going to start with a mini challenge straight away. I'd like for you to add a Polygon Collider 2D to our paddle. So pause the video and add one of those. Add a Polygon Collider 2D component. Okay, hopefully you did pause the video and you weren't just sitting around waiting for me to come back and show you the solution. But here is the solution. We click on our paddle, make sure we click on the paddle, add component. We're looking for a Polygon Collider 2D, and you can see it gets it pretty close, but I'm going to click on the Edit Collider, just tidy it up a little bit, find this point here, just drag it in, just holding the left mouse button, drag it in. You see it adds a few extra points in there, not to worry. Tighten it up, looks pretty good. Put that into place, doink, and this final one into place as well. Is this a good shape for our paddle? Well, I'm not sure yet. I just made it and thought it would be pretty nifty. A flat surface on top, that's pretty important. We've got these curved surfaces on the side, just so we can give the player the ability to bounce things at more of an angle, rather than just having a flat paddle, which a lot of games do have. Okay, cool. So there it is. We've got our collision. Neat-o. Going to move the block out of the way. Actually, I won't bother doing that. I'm just going to grab the ball, move it over the top of our paddle just here. Click play. Make sure that the ball does what it's supposed to do, which drop down onto the paddle. Blink, there we go. We want more than that. We want it to go bounce. Interesting, it's rolling away. It shows that my paddle isn't 100% flat. That's fine. We're getting a little bit of that physics gravity that must be a tiny, tiny slope there. It's making the ball roll off, which is interesting, pretty cool. Okay, if it was a big drop, we might want to do something about it, but it seemed pretty flat. Okay, so what we're going to do next is to add a way for the ball to bounce. This also is a pretty straightforward process. What we need to do, this is not adding a component, this is adding a material. So within our assets folder down here, I'm going to create a new folder, create folder. I'll call this materials. Within materials, I'll right click, create. Scroll down here to physics material 2D. Make sure it's not regular physics material, it needs to be physics material 2D. Click to create that, and we'll rename this. What should we call this? We will call this bounce. That's what we're doing. Okay, and you can see there it looks like something that is bouncing. If we click on bounce, we have two values, friction and bounciness. Friction's not going to have a really big impact. It's not going to do much at the moment, so don't worry about friction. That would be more if we were sliding, if our paddle had to slide along a surface and we wanted that surface to slow down the paddle or gradually make it stop over time. What we are interested in is bounciness. So I have another mini challenge for you. I want you to experiment with bounciness or read the documents. There's a hint for you. And you know what we haven't done yet? I don't think I've pointed out that the little book up here, if you click on that, takes you to the documentation for this particular thing we're looking at. So there's a challenge for you, is to create bounciness so that the ball bounces and continues to bounce in the same spot over and over. So there's a micro challenge for you, or a mini challenge, or a mega challenge, depends how you view it. So pause the video and add some bounce. Okay, hopefully you did experiment a little bit here. I will click on our little book, because that's going to give us a pretty good clue to what we should add it as. And we can see when we scroll down to bounciness, the degree to which collisions rebound from the surface. A value of 0 indicates no bounce, which is what we have had, while a value of 1 indicates a perfect bounce, and a value of more than 1, on my wrong screen here, more than 1 creates all sorts of fun havoc, because it makes it bounce higher than its starting point. So let's click on the ball. We need to find with our circle collider, so we're adding this to the collider. You can see there's also a spot in the rigid body 2D to add a material, but we're going to add ours. See how it says material, none at the moment. Click on the little selector, or we could just drag it in, but we'll click on the selector for now because there's only one. Double click on bounce. Now we've added bounce to the ball just here, but we haven't changed the value of bounce, which we can do because it's dynamically linked. We know that if we click on the ball, it's looking at the bounce physics material 2D. So any changes we do to bounce over here will be dynamically updated because it's referencing this material. So click on bounce, and we'll change the bounciness up to 1, which is pretty much the answer to this challenge. Click on play. Over on the right here, it should go bounce up, bounce up. This is where we'll find if our paddle collision is truly straight. And I think our paddle collision is not truly straight, which I'm okay with at the moment. Whoop, bloink, there we go, off the side, nice. And looks like the ball, I might need a different ball asset actually, because that ball looks like it's been lit from the bottom in a very clever way, but as soon as the ball starts to spin around, it has a weird rotation thing. So maybe we can, later on, maybe we'll stop the ball from rotating. Okay, that could be a simple way to do it so we don't have to go get a new asset. Anyway, what we can also do while we're in this mode here, while we're in play mode, is if you click on your paddle, so I've clicked play, we've got our bounciness, I can move this paddle around, not in a very neat, precise way, but I can actually play, whoops, no, I missed. I can play our game a little bit by just moving this around and watching the game screen over here, because this is where the game is taking place as I'm playing this. So if I move the paddle around, then we've playing our game. Cool. Okay, but it goes off screen, all that kind of good stuff. And as I said before, if you were to put the bounciness up higher, let's just do this for fun. Let's put up to 3 and see what happens. Click on play, see what happens here. It should bounce much higher than zoing, and off the screen it goes. Okay, that's something pretty cool to bear in mind if you're doing some interesting ricochets in the future. Great, so we've implemented our physics material so that the ball can bounce, which is pretty foundational in a block breaker kind of game. Great work, and I'll see you in the next lecture.